Hello and welcome back everyone. Today I'm on location here at about two, maybe three different places here today. I'm going to kind of cram into this one singular video just because they're all very close by in the middle of this neighborhood really, and you can just cross the street and go to the next one, and they're all three pretty much lined up the same way. And they are Lloyd Gardens, Elizabeth Wildflower and Bird Sanctuary, and Centennial Park at Houk Stream. And so today I'm just going to start out here at the Lloyd Gardens. I already actually made my way on the entire trail. It's a very narrow strip of corridor of just some woodland. There's like a creek view, and it's just very beautiful and a very picturesque and scenic kind of view. It's a pretty beautiful day, as you can probably see. Blue sky, all sun, pretty much a cloudless day honestly, and so it makes the lighting a little more tricky, I guess, and much more higher contrast. But I'm going to take advantage of the late morning conditions here that I started at, and have the sun as its position. It's not too high, it's not high noon of course, but it's still pretty high up in the sky. And I'm going to take advantage of the shade over here. And so my first subject, I've already found one fortunately, is this Dwarf Larkspur, which I don't believe I've ever photographed for this on location series, but I have done a few times off the record there. And so it's all situated in this nice shade over here amongst all this green rain stuff. It's pretty low-lying plants. But it's just got a beautiful, like, deep purple color to it, and they grow up in these stems, and it looks like they're on opposite ends and everything, so, or alternate. It's hard to tell, but so basically I'm going to take a photograph of them, probably like a macro style, I think, and just pretty much experiment and see what happens here, because my first inclination was to wait and check out the other two parks and just pre-scout and see what they had to offer. But after giving it some more thought, I'm just thinking that maybe that's not the best option, because I've done that before with previous videos, and then I'd come back and the lighting's just a lot worse, or just the conditions just kind of worsen over time. And so I kind of learned better than that, my lessons from doing something like that. And so I'm going to take the photograph while I have it here. It's already in mind, and I simply have to pull out the camera, switch lenses, get my extension tube on, all that stuff, which shouldn't take too long. I think maybe a minute or two after I'm done speaking here, and then take these shots. But fortunately, since I have a tripod with no center column, a Gitzo tripod, that means that I can get this tripod all the way down to the ground and get that nice eye level view of these plants, and it makes such a more compelling photograph that way, fortunately. So that's what I'm going to do here, and then we'll make our way around the rest of Lloyd Gardens on the way back, see if we can see anything. There's some common songbirds like cardinals, titmice, lots of robins and all that sort. I haven't really heard any warblers or any other migratory species, at least yet, but we'll cross the street over there, and then we'll make our way to Elizabeth, and then we'll cross the street again and go to Houk Stream. And yeah, all these little small locations, but I'm gonna combine them, like I said, into one video here. And yeah, lots of bird song and stuff going on. So anyways, yeah, should be a good day out, and I'm looking forward to sharing these locations with you. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the larkspur shots. I may talk about some of the settings after the fact, and then yeah, we'll just continue on here. So let's go ahead and get going. All right, so I'm knelt down on the ground here. I got the tripod fully extended out, or at least the legs, but not the sections. So that means that it's just fully spread out along the ground. It's basically the base of it. It's practically touching the mulchy path here, of course. So I get the nice eye level view of it, of these Dwarf Larkspur. And yeah, they turn out pretty nice. There's lots of just green, vibrant foliage behind it, and if you expose properly for that, I think about a little bit less than a stop of light under exposing it, just so I can keep all that nice just detail to it, not overexpose anything. But I still feel like those colors are really going to pop, later on in post-production, of course, when I just further tweak and minor adjust the saturation and the temperature and overall white balance of the images here. But yeah, I'm just really liking the vibrant purples of them. And I singled out basically this one single stalk that's down here. It looks like all the flowers are in pretty prime shape, I'd say. They look pretty good condition. A lot of the other ones look like they're wilted away, simply because we've been having a lot of really frosty and cold mornings lately. So I picked out, yeah, the best, I think, bunch of them all, and they're in a nice perspective and position that I can actually readily get to with my zoom lens on my macro setup here, obviously without trampling over the rest of the foliage and stuff around here. And so yeah, they turn out pretty nice. I'm really liking how they look. Since it's more like a vertically driven kind of wildflower, I'm opting for a vertical composition, of course. Luckily I have an L bracket onto my DSLR camera here, which allows me to just flip on the fly from horizontal to vertical. And so I didn't really take any horizontal shots I may try that actually now that I'm thinking about it, just to see how it looks simply, but I don't think they're really going to be anything too desirable, simply because when the subject is vertically driven or horizontally, you want it to be the most accentuated features, I guess, of it. So if you have like a really long, kind of narrow and skinny waterfall, you want to typically do that in a vertical kind of composition. I'm not saying that's a rule, but I'm saying that's typically how you want to do it, to make a, I guess you would say, more better, more purposeful photograph there. And so yeah, I'm going to simply do that with these larkspur, is to take them in a vertically driven kind of position there. And so yeah, it's a pretty good morning out here. Really can't complain with this, and yeah, really liking how they turn out so far. Using a 2-second timer, 25th of a second, f6.3, so it's just a nice wide aperture that drops that background out of focus, and it creates a nice pleasing blur, so that everything, there's pretty much eliminates distractions on it overall, and allows all the focus to be just on that wildflower there. And then ISO 640, simply because I am in shade, I do have to compensate for that kind of darker exposure that I have to meter for, of course, in the scene here. And then yeah, simply metered on the most foreground driven, the biggest one, at least in the frame, of all the larkspur, that single flower head. And so yeah, I really can't complain. That's just another wildflower I can check off the list that I've taken some I think great photographs of. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to experiencing the rest of the parks here, and probably gonna continue along Loy here and then move on to Elizabeth Park. Alright, so that concludes the Elizabeth portion of it, Elizabeth Wildflower and Bird Sanctuary. Didn't really see too much, at least I'm just given the lighting conditions today, at least. It's just very, very sunny, and like I said, we're fast approaching high noon here with this late morning light, and it's just very high contrasty, but I feel like on a nice cloudy day, this just beautiful winding creek side would just be a great, it's begging for, I think, like a landscape or a long exposure photograph. So that's something to keep in mind maybe for a future visit. But unfortunately, I'm not going to waste my time today trying to, at that even, because I just know it's simply not going to be the most amazing photograph in that regard. So yeah, nothing else really of interest around here, sadly. But there's quite a few birds, lots of grackles and stuff. Just, more common birds that you get here in Ohio that I'm hearing and seeing. And yeah, other than that, I didn't see anything else too much of photographic interest, or anything that would be new or exciting or even unique to this location, of course, because a lot of locations, they kind of start to look the same out over time and everything, and of course I want to keep things fresh. So if there's like a unique water feature or some kind of landscape that's very topographically speaking kind of unique to that location, and of course I want to take advantage of that and take a proper photograph. But I didn't see too much, but there's some minor elevation gain as you go on this gravel footpath. And it's probably about the same size, maybe slightly bigger in terms of land mass and acres compared to Lloyd Gardens, which is just right up the road where I started at for the video today. But yeah, I didn't see anything else really. Sorry, I keep looking around just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be it for Elizabeth here. So now I'm going to cross the street over here. It's like a small little intersection, and see if I can find this Houk stream, and we'll check out that place, because that place looks like the biggest out of all three that are connected here, all these different gardens and parks. But so let's go ahead and check it out, and yeah, and then we'll call it quits for the day. But hopefully we can find maybe a good photograph or two there, and maybe on my way back here, because I parked right beside Elizabeth Gardens here, maybe we'll find something else to take an image of. So, but you know what, we will see. So upon immediately entering the Centennial Park here at Houk Stream, I just noticed right where there's a sewage pipe or whatever that's crossing over the road, just quite a beautiful, actually, mini cascade, mini waterfall there. It's just very, very beautiful and scenic, despite its more urban, upbringing there with the pipe. But I just got out here in the middle of the creek over here and just set out straight on and just tried some. I didn't try any shots, of course, but I just tried some like phone video and stuff with the GoPro here, and just kind of messed around with it and just experimented and see what I could really think up with, compositionally speaking. But like I said, the lighting's just really, really harsh, and it's not, quite frankly, worth it for me to take a shot, because I know it's not going to be worth editing. I'm going to just look at the computer and go like, why did I take that, Ryan? Like, what was the point of that? So I'm not really going to bother with it today, unfortunately. Although it is very, very tempting, I will say. It's very tempting, but it's actually not a bad look to it, honestly. Just the whole backdrop. On the pipe, just leaves a little bit to be desired, because that way you just realize it's like not like 100% natural or really the most scenic looking waterfall. But it's a nice little just drop off here, just a few inches at least, and it just stretches across wide lengthways there. And yeah, it just looks pretty nice, so that might be something to keep in mind, maybe at a future visit once again, when I come over here. Hopefully sometime in the near future as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue along the Houk Stream here and see what else I can find for the day. Cannot begin to describe just how these three locations just really feel just so peaceful and serene. Like, it's just, I don't know, these nice, just the calm water effects of the moving water in the creek and everything, just all the bird song, and it's nice, like I said, beautiful blue sky day, and just easygoing paths. It's not too big of a long hike or strenuous walk to even get to anywhere. Mostly flat elevation on just these gravel footpaths, and all these different benches and everything. It has such a nice, calm, inviting atmosphere, I guess. It's very nice, peaceful kind of places to be, really, honestly. So even if I'm not really taking too many photographs at all at the moment, it's still very, very nice to just be out and enjoy all of this for what it is. For today, so far, it's just been the Dwarf Larkspur. That's really the only thing I've gotten of photographic interest that I feel like worked out, simply because it was in the shade, and that was a flower that I was more or less trying to be sought after, I guess. So it worked out in my favor there. But yeah, overall it's been working really well, and I've been enjoying it so far. And so almost done here for the day, unfortunately, but I am gonna go home and have a few photos. I'll be happy to edit, of course. So I'm gonna check out the rest of the park here and see what else it has to offer. Alright, so after taking a big old hike around here at Houk Stream, finally the light's actually parting ways and being obscured by a cloud up ahead. So it's starting to come back again, but it's kind of going on and off depending on the intensity of the cloud coverage, that's blocking it, of course. But I had just enough time where I found this beautiful waterfall down here, just flowing down. And it's a pretty good drop off too as well. It's not the widest or most spectacular one, but I mean, it's a nice view of one. It's a nice scenic look at it, and you can actually cross right along all these different kind of bridge crossings over here, as I did here. So it kind of worked out in my favor because the light just happened to get obscured, like I said, and get all this kind of overcast all of a sudden, right as I was going along the trail over here, and then finally made my way over here. So it kind of just worked out. So just enough time to take off my bag, switch out my gear. I opted for doing a 75mm perspective. I still have my small telephoto lens on here. I'm using just a polarizer filter. Typical settings for long exposure, I'd say, like a 2-second timer. I think I'm at about 1 second shutter speed, which is just slow enough for this water, since it isn't really the most rushing of like white water and the fastest moving waterfall. It actually works out, I think, in this case. Typically you want to use the longest shutter you can get. It doesn't necessarily have to be as slow as it can be, but for this case it worked out with the 1 second. So I kept my ISO at 100, just keeping it real nice and dark, and a low light setting for opting in all that different kinds of light into the sensor, of course. And then I was at aperture of f9. That f-stop was pretty good. There's not too much depth in the scene, and since I am using a small telephoto, a focal length perspective, that's going to compress the scene anyways. But f9 was a good median range where I can get everything in the entire frame in focus. But like I said, there wasn't much depth to the scene as is. Even if I did use something like a wide angle, it just wouldn't really work with this perspective. And as you can see, quite a big drop off right here at the edge of the trail, and I'm not really going to attempt to get down there, even though it is quite tempting, I guess. But just staying up here, I guess, and along the trail here, just having it all mounted on my tripod, of course. I feel like it's just pretty much the natural setting for this this waterfall here. So yeah, I'm really glad to finally take a couple images of it. Got about 4 or 5 different exposures, just varying that. The trickiest thing was that even though the light was obscured behind the cloud, still the brightest part of the image was actually the stones right up above this waterfall here. And so I metered for those stones just because they're the brightest part of the image, at least what I've got in my frame here. But I can always do later on post-production is crop it and just kind of size it down a little bit more, because vertical frames usually, at least in my opinion, can look pretty elongated, which can work, of course, for depending on your subject matter. But I just find like it looks almost too long and narrow, which it might work out in this case. I may change my mind with it, but I think I'm going to opt for something that's more like a 4x5 or like a 5x7, more of a kind of cropped down but still vertical image for the final result here. But that's something that only time will tell. And you'll see in the video, of course, here is that whatever I choose to do with post-producing this photograph here. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it wasn't too hard to expose for that and meter for it. Like I said, just metered for the stones on the top there, since they were the brightest part. These big old white stones and everything, and just a couple of them up top above the water there as it flows. So yeah, pretty much it to it. Really enjoyed that little moment there, and had to work fast though, because I didn't know how much time I'd have with the light up above too. So I just made the most of it, and I feel like it worked out in this case, so which is always great. So I got a little bit more trail left, and then I'm gonna make my way back to the car, which is parked at the Elizabeth Gardens, and probably call it quits for the day. So I will see you in a bit. Alright, that will conclude today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I know I did. Check out these new locations is always exciting, and not only checking out one of them in a day, but 3 of them. I really enjoyed all 3 locations. Lots of different features I can see myself photographing in future visits. And so yeah, I think that'll be it for today. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been Lloyd Gardens, Elizabeth Garden, Wildflower and Bird Sanctuary, Centennial Park at Houk Stream. So until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.